Matt Shoup is a serial entrepreneur, author, inventor, real estate broker, and investor. He's the president of M&E Painting and Roofing, inventor of the Pirate Patch, and a realtor with C3 Real Estate. Matt's first book was Become an Award-Winning Company, and his new book, just out, is Painted Baby. He's also a professor and partner with Northern Colorado Jiu Jitsu, and there's more, but no time to mention it all. I have to say, it's pretty cool hosting a guest with a fresh book out, just like the big-time podcasters do. More cool than that, though, is being inspired by all the energy and conviction that Matt brings into a conversation. Matt's a high motor guy, guided by his faith and varied experiences, and supported by his awesome wife, Emily, the E of M&E Painting. There's a lot of ideas Matt shares in this one that make your business life easier, and Matt somehow makes it seem easy to become a black belt while coaching kids sports, traveling the world, writing another book, and running 2 companies and selling real estate on the side. I had only just met Matt previously, and so you'll be learning all about his story alongside me in this one. And it sure was fun, so please tune in for my conversation with Matt Shoup.
Let's have some fun.
Welcome to the Loco Experience Podcast. On this show, you'll get to know business and community leaders from all around Northern Colorado and beyond. Our guests share their stories, business stories, life stories, stories of triumph and of tragedy, and through it all, you'll be inspired and entertained. These conversations are real and raw, and no topics are off limits. So pop in a breath mint and get ready to meet our latest guest. Welcome back to the Loco Experience Podcast. I'm honored today to be joined by Matt Shoup. And Matt is a serial entrepreneur. I've got to grab my notes here. He is the founder and president at M&E Painting and Roofing, founder and professor at NoCo Jiu Jitsu, the author of Painted Baby and Become an Award-Winning Company, a real estate broker and investor, and the inventor of the Pirate Patch. I think I want to start with the Pirate Patch.
Let's do it.
Okay. And thanks for being here, Matt.
And to give credit to 2 wonderful business partners. So Jiu-Jitsu co-founder with Troy Pettyjohn, longtime training partner. And then, Pirate Patch was kind of a wild story. I got in the residential repainting, contracting business in college. And we're sitting there in 2010, me and a good friend from high school. We came up painting together. His name's Dave Sword. We had just been fired from an interior paint job because we promised that we could fix this drywall texture patch on a customer's wall before we painted it. And every time we came across these, we'd go to the Home Depot, Lowe's,
get the can of orange peel or whatever.
Yeah, and the knockdown. Orange peel's not bad. The knockdown was tough, though. So we had just, failed miserably again at trying to do this. And we didn't want to spend, $300 on a $400 job, bring a drywall guy out to do it. So we're sitting at a Qdoba, eating burritos, just, defeated, right? Fired from this job. And Dave draws this little stencil out on a napkin, and we're looking at this thing, and he says, man, if we could build this and manufacture this would be a perfect way to fix texture. You stick it on the wall, spread the joint compound, peel it off, and boom, you've applied it, knocked it down all at the same time, right? And that's the tricky part, is actually when do you knock that texture down to give it that flat top. And I jokingly said to him, because I'm a sales guy at heart, I said, hey, if you can design it, he's the technical inventor, the very, pragmatic guy. And I said, hey, you design it, figure it out. We'll go sell a bunch of them. And that started the journey of doing that. And, we ended up manufacturing it, patenting it.
Wow.
And we had it at one point in Ace Hardware, Sherwin-Williams. We were wholesaling it to the big box guys, and just kind of taking a beating. It wasn't making much margin by the time
they beat you
everybody
up,
gets a cut.
The distributor gets a cut. And
it's get paid little and paid later, a lot later.
Well, and it's pretty light, right? So just direct sale online?
Well, so I had a friend of mine, and she runs an Amazon business. So like back in the day, 2011, 12, when people would purchase a product, white label it, and sell it on Amazon, she would get to a point where she'd make $1,000 a month on a basic office product, a pencil holder, a paper.
Interesting.
She goes, hey, you got to sell on Amazon. She goes, I'm killing it on Amazon. I said, I don't understand. We don't understand that. She goes, listen, you charge retail. They take their cut. You ship everything there, and you don't have to mess with it. You're not collecting money. And so, we launched it on Amazon in 2013, and we watched our Amazon sales as well as margins grow and grow a lot faster. It was a lot more profitable. We actually ended up pulling out of the stores. It just wasn't working.
Yeah.
It's a single SKU item.
Yeah.
But this story is cool because it went from an idea on a napkin. We were told by everybody that this will never work. This would never be successful. And, it took us a number of years to turn profit. But I remember when Dave and I pulled that first profit check, it was kind of a, hey, you can do this. You can take an idea and roll it out.
And how much does it cost now? And do you buy like sets of them, or does it work forever once you've sold this template thing?
Yeah. So for the consumer, it's a reusable product. It's a $19.99. I think it's like $22 on Amazon. You buy it. You can use it, and then you can clean it up and reuse it. It'll get bent quicker than it breaks down.
Right.
And and I mean our margins on it are great. We're ordering them in the 10,000s now when we're restocking and everything like that, and sending them into to Amazon. The COVID supply chain got a little interesting, and so we stocked up, just wondering that might slow down. But it's been a great story. It's
cool.
It's a mailbox money thing,
right, for sure. Well, and like everybody wants one of those. I'm sure if you want to sell that little business, somebody would be interested.
We had an offer from a company that they consolidate very unique niche businesses that sell on Amazon, and we actually had an offer from them. Things didn't end up really materializing from there, but it's on people's radar. We've thought about going on the Shark Tank and for fun, but we like where it's at right now. And we both have other businesses and other ventures that we're working on, so. We get together every here and there, grab a burrito, go back to the same Qdoba that we originally had the idea at, and just kind of pinch ourselves sometimes.
I like it. I like it. So I guess let's jump over to really your main foundational business is the M&E painting historically with the dancing sign guys.
That's right.
But now painting and roofing. You've added that a couple years ago now, or
during COVID. Yeah,
okay.
We were coming out of 2019, that last hailstorm where. We were, trying to refer business and find a reputable roofer that we could get in the flow with, and we're like, we got to figure this out. If we can figure this out, we can really serve the customers a lot better, especially when they get hit by the hail. So,
right, because a lot of times you got roofing and paint from a hail situation.
Everything, roofing, paint, windows, gutters, and we've been able to roll that all.
Oh, so you can do windows and siding and everything too?
Yeah.
Or you've always done siding, probably, right? Does that come with the painting business, or not necessarily, right?
It's kind of two approaches to siding. So if you have a couple boards here and there, small section, a lot of our crews can do that. But if a house just gets blasted by hail, or they've got vinyl siding and that whole side elevation gets destroyed, we'll bring in other contractors that are a little bit more skilled. Fair enough. We've been able to roll it all up to where customer works with one company, and we get the fun, exciting experience of dealing with the insurance companies. Yeah, love that.
I'm sure you don't do it too much anymore.
No, I'm pretty actively involved. When we launched the roofing, because it's a different beast, different animal.
Yeah,
dealing with insurance.
It's all insurance companies with that, right? Like with painting, it's rarely, occasionally, but yeah. Well, I've heard you tell the story of kind of launching M&E painting and stuff, but I guess let's start by describing M&E now operationally. Is it a subcontracted paint organization? You have trusted crews and you can flex up and down. Is it new construction and repaints? Is it all repaints? Like, what is M&E painting when you say that? And painting and roofing. Yeah.
So on the painting side, most of my experience and where we really have a strong base and proportion of our work, residential and commercial repainting. We a little bit of new construction, but didn't. Every time we think we want to get back into that, we decide just to go back to the repaint. Yeah, so it's mostly homeowners and business owners. They own their building.
So
and they
business to consumer kind
painted,
of a offering,
consumer.
Hence the sign spinners at Harmony and College and whatever.
That's a fun story. I'll share kind of that was a dare. I started all that on a dare back in 2007 or 8. And and we have a group, a real solid base of trusted crews that we've worked with for a long time. Most of the painting industries turned towards that subcontracting model because you get downtime in the winter. What's nice with these guys is they show up and they've got van, tools, equipment, experience.
Right.
They don't want to go do estimates and paperwork and accounting and have to sell the job. They just say, give us the job.
That's your value add in some ways.
And we're a sales company. Like, we love the marketing and the sales and serving the customers. And then we'll always have, there's always some in and out. Like, there's guys, hey, we're going to go start our own company, and or they move, we grow, another crew comes in. But we've had 80% of our crew. I mean, they've been with us for a long
cool.
time. They're good guys. Yeah, and then roofing, roofing's kind of the same model. That's a subcontract model.
Right.
But what's cool with the roofing is the thing with a hailstorm is the company goes from doing no business to 100 roofs, 200 roofs, 1,000 roofs.
Right.
So they're pulling crews out of Texas, Oklahoma, like
Right.
guys that they don't even know. We have one crew. It's 2 brothers and a friend.
Oh, interesting.
And then they've got a good set of guys, about 8 to 10 guys. We have one crew. They've roofed for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
And very, very
So in some
confident
ways,
the
you're
install.
their sales organization.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You get X cut and whatever, but you don't have, you get to monkey around with all the insurance and finding the customers and stuff, and they just get to keep their guys busy all the time roofing.
And they don't want to do that. Yeah, they've made that
Yeah.
very clear, and we've made clear what we're good at, what we like to do. So yeah, we specialize, and it's a good, it's a good teamwork.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess while we're talking about all these different business interests and things, let's cover the jiu-jitsu. So I was going to call you a teacher of jiu-jitsu, and you're like, no, I'm a black belt, bitch, so you call me professor.
I said, bitch.
You didn't say it that way.
But that would have been cool, right? I'm a black belt, bitch.
Right. Well, if you were so scary already, yeah.
No, technically, when you're a student until you become an instructor at some point. But then, when an instructor earns their black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they'd be referred to as a professor. Yeah. So I jumped on the mats for the first time in 2007.
Okay.
Not knowing I was even going to attend a jiu-jitsu class. I was walking into an MMA gym thinking that kickboxing was happening.
Right.
I was going to go punch people, right? Get punched.
Right.
And I was a big meathead at the time. Had started following mixed martial arts, MMA,
Okay. Yeah.
and had trained another martial art for 4 or 5 years or so.
Okay.
So I jump in. I go, hey, ready for kickboxing? They go, yeah, you just missed that class, but there's some guys wrestling around and some gals wrestling around in pajamas.
Were they
right
in
over on the
gis?
mats. Yeah, they're
Right.
in gis. Looks like pajamas. And this little tiny guy looks at me. His name's Noah, and he goes, "Hey, big guy," and he squeezes my arms. He goes, "Why don't you go work with that little guy over there?" He's like, "But take it easy on him." And he said, "I want you to watch this for a minute." So, one guy's grabbing another guy, throwing him to the ground, getting on top, cranking his arm, choking his neck. I go, "That's easy. I'll go. You sure you want me to go with this guy, this little guy?" And Noah just slaps me on the back. He goes, "Just go easy on him." So I said, "All right." So I went after this kid. I'm 27, 200 pounds, and this he's a teenager. And I grabbed him. He then grabbed me right back, put me on my back. He's sitting on top of me like, wait, what's happening? So I just tried to give him the old bench press, and he grabs my arm, spins around it like a little monkey, and lays it out, cranks my arm. Yeah. And they're like, tap out. Oh, yeah, we forgot to tell you. If you want him to stop, just tap out. So I'm just getting murdered, getting tapped out. But I left that experience. I go, man, that kid can do that to me. Imagine what I could do to somebody else twice my size.
I could take Hulk Hogan on.
Yeah,
right?
the whole thing, right? It's leverage, it's technique,
Yeah.
it's timing. But it changed my perspective on, how you could win a physical engagement.
Yeah.
It's been cool because it's really, it very much parallels leadership and business. A lot of the lessons that I've learned on the jiu-jitsu mats. I have a little video series I'm releasing every couple of weeks.
I'd like to, and I want to get more into the jiu-jitsu later as well, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and Rogan is one of those, and he's got some of the martial artists on there. And if there's a martial arts category that's really intrigued me for me, for my body type and my mental intellectual wiring, it's jiu-jitsu. That's something that's been tempting me.
As I've instructed it right over the years and gotten to teach more and more, the big, strong, ex-professional football players like those guys, they have a hard time. They come in real hard charging. Everybody gets humbled very quickly, but the bigger guys get humbled really quickly. I did, and it blows their mind. They're like, how did this little person do this to me?
Right.
But where you wouldn't think, what's really cool is maybe the small, quiet, intellectual, introspective, very methodical, like you're running routes and scenarios in your brain, right? Like running the tree in the chain.
Yeah.
They soak that up, and they don't have strength. They don't have any of that to rely on physically.
Yeah.
So it's a mental chess game.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
And so many defensive opportunities and things, right? Like even if you're not as strong, you can kind of neutralize a lot of the other person's efforts.
The idea is, what could a 140 pound woman that gets confronted by a 200 pound man, and the man is not trained. Right after a year, 2 years of training, that woman should be able to completely defend, escape that situation, if not control and ultimately, submit that person and render them ineffective or unconscious.
Wow. That's a good call to action.
Well, and people that the with parents, I teach kids. They go, "This is violent." I go, "No. This is actually the most gentle and kind way that your kid could stand up to themselves against somebody else. If you had to pick 10 martial arts to get your ass kicked by, like it's not fun. It's not fun to get worked on the jiu-jitsu mats, but you tap when you want it to stop. But other arts, you're kicking a guy in the head, smacking him in the face. Like you can't do that.
Right.
So yeah, it's the gentle art.
Yeah. I like it. And so describe the gym just a little bit. Like, is that you have half dozen teachers in addition to yourself that teach different classes, and you've got, is it mostly kids? Is it adults and kids?
It's a good proportion of youth. So I run the youth program. Troy and I were partners, and then there's another black belt professor there. He teaches some of the no-gi and the combatives class. So no-gi is you're not wearing your gi, you're just wearing shorts, workout t-shirt. But then we've got
which is more like maybe directed toward the martial arts, MMA type fighters.
So like it's going to be more like wrestling. They're literally just wearing shorts and a t-shirt. So if I'm gonna grab you and you have a gi, I'm gonna attach to your gi. Gi's typically a little bit slower. There's more friction between those uniforms. No gi, I can't grab you by anything. I've got to come grab you by the back of the neck,
right?
Club the back of your neck. So different ways you attach to that person, and but a lot of the same fundamentals.
Is the gi almost like a shock absorber between you and the other? It's more of a handle.
It's a way to get grips. So like I'm looking at your vest right now. I could choke you a lot of different ways with that vest, or you're out at the bars and guys got the warm big thick winter jacket. It's what you would grab on and attach attach to the other person with.
Fair.
So. But we've got some other instructors, and we serve children, families. We've got men and women, entire families training, and I'm real passionate about helping law enforcement get home safe. So teaching them ways to control a situation,
without hurting that other person,
and themselves. And I watch a lot of tape of law enforcement that are obviously not trained, and it's embarrassing to see. Some of the, it's a dangerous job. And, that will get you home safer. Just a basic training, couple days a week for 6 to 12 months, going to make a huge difference. And then we've had students. We had a student get attacked. Guy went for his gun, and he used jiu-jitsu. It saved his life and the other guy's life, and the life of other people. It was the middle of the day in a McDonald's filled with moms and kids, effectively, is when this happened.
So what happened? Like a crazy guy with a gun attacked this kid?
No, so crazy guy. I think they determined just a transient or homeless person comes into McDonald's screaming at the workers, screaming at the
I've seen that before.
And, they call the police. So this guy goes into the bathroom and he kind of corners himself in the bathroom. So Dylan, our student, and he's an officer in Loveland, he gets on and, hey, he's in the bathroom, goes in the bathroom. The guy opens the stall door, raises a pair of scissors. So Dylan goes, okay, do I shoot him, engage with him? What do I do? So he told him to put the scissors down. The guy throws the scissors down and just charges at him. So they're in a pretty confined space.
Right.
Just imagine a fighting in a McDonald's bathroom.
Yeah.
Not a lot of room to move around.
Any bathroom, really.
And we were a week prior to that this is when the gym was still in the basement. We were working just a body fold takedown, and I joked with them. I said, hey, first person to use this out there as you're working gets a free t-shirt, just totally joking. And he calls me, so
he wanted the t-shirt.
He takes the guy down, but he didn't control him, and it went down to the ground, back to the feet, down to the ground, and then second or third time the guy grabs his gun, and he said that's when it really clicked.
So he tried to get the police officer's gun away.
And at that point
did he get it?
No, but at that point,
because they're locked in there pretty good usually.
They are. But this officer has the option legally to use deadly force, right? And he goes, no, I resorted to my jiu-jitsu and my training, and I got my wits about me, and controlled him, turned him over, got the hand off the gun, got him cuffed, and he goes, obviously I was safe, but that guy could have been an officer that was untrained would have ended up dead or ended up killing that guy in a bathroom on a Friday afternoon. Yeah. So,
yeah. Well, and a lot of grace for that transient. He was obviously having a bad day and is got a lot of mental disorders and things like that. Anyway, I digress. So
no, absolutely true. I mean, it's it was a crazy situation, but then it's you remember why you're doing this. It's for moments like that, and kids getting bullied 3 months later. He's not getting bullied anymore. He's got the tools. Like I got severely bullied growing up, and I didn't have those tools. So that's a big That's a big passion of mine.
We're going to jump in the time machine and hear all about little Matt here in a little bit.
Let's do it, man. Love it.
But before we do, we're still going to check in on the books. You wrote a book a few years ago already, or quite a while back. Was the award-winning company?
That was 2011. Yeah.
Oh, wow, 10 years ago.
I've
seen that before. I saw it on your LinkedIn profile and stuff.
Yeah.
I should have a copy. You didn't bring me a copy of that one.
Oh man, I just have Painted Baby.
Sorry.
I'll get you one.
Well, and then Painted Baby, I saw a talk where you basically outlined what I imagine is kind of the format of Painted Baby and told a story to a men's group that I was at. How would you describe that book, your newest?
Painted Baby. So the subtitle is Connect with Clients Through Brave and Vulnerable Storytelling. And the premise is we go out into society, social media, business, relationships. Like we're always putting our best, most perfect foot forward. So 5-star, A+, shiny marketing brochure. That's just how we're conditioned. Like go scroll through social media. Like we had the most amazing vacation, and we paint a picture of perfection, and it prevents true connection. So the thesis that I propose in the book, and this was through a really funny story. It's funny now, wasn't funny then. Is just that when you're real, honest, vulnerable, and you share your shortcomings in business, you will actually build more and deeper relationship and trust with your customers. And it seems pretty simple, but we don't do it. Everybody's posturing. You're over promising, and you can't meet that. And we share an experience of I was about to close the biggest business deal of M&E Painting's life, like 15 times the size of a normal contract. And we're sitting here very similar to this, and I'm sliding the contract across the table. Hey, all right, let's get this done. No, I'm not ready. And we'd done business with this gentleman before, and he goes, I want to know about a time you screwed up and what you did about it. And that just short-circuited me. Like think about sales. Anybody that's a sales professional, it's features, benefits, build rapport, pre-close questions, and then ask for the business. But you don't show imperfection. You don't show flaws, and I went through this process of telling him a couple of times that we had some small screw-ups. I said, fine, you want to hear about a time we painted a baby? And he leaned in, he was engaged, he laughed, he goes, what did you just say? And I go, yeah, we painted a baby, like that was our worst moment. And we're at a job site in Windsor, paint sprayer explodes as a painter's getting ready to spray some doors black. Yeah. And the mom, the homeowner, and her 9-month-old baby, she's standing right behind the painters. She comes out every couple hours admiring the paint job, bringing the guys, drinks and snacks. And I'm 20 minutes away, like I'm not on the job site. And I get this phone call. I hear screaming and crying and commotion. And my painter, Raul, a gentleman from Mexico, and I speak Spanish. So we'd always speak a kind of a mixture of Spanglish with each other. And he'd go, hey, Mateo, he called me every week. Mateo, I spill paint. Or he'd joke with me. He was just being a goofball. And it was a little different kind of a phone call. Mateo, come quick. I paint the baby, man, and the paint and the boom. And he just hangs up the phone. And I pull up to the job site. It was a disaster. And, what you do at that point, right? The point of the story is what you do in that moment and how you handle that. That's how you show your core values and what you're made of. Like just because you wrote it on a nice poster, put it on your website, and it's never been tested. Or confronted with an opportunity to show something different, right?
What I like about your theme, and as I heard you unfold it, is it matched up with my own observations. One of the reasons I'm critical of government, for example, is they never confess that I used to think this way and now I think this way. Like they won't own the fact that they were ever wrong about anything.
Or just that they did it.
Or that they even did it.
Bill Clinton, everybody knows you did it, man. And you're trying to wordsmith your definition of relations.
Right.
So it's just like I share with business owners, what is that story that if your competition got a hold of and went out and ran with it about you, it would put you under, right? Or it could severely harm your reputation. You should run with that story. You should lead with that story. There's power in it. Yeah.
For sure. I like it. So what do you want to have happen with this book?
I want to get it into as many hands as possible. So I've learned so much from 2011 when I wrote the first book to now, and I actually started Painted Baby in 2015.
Oh wow!
And just learned. So
you've been kind of busy doing stuff.
Yeah, but I kind of chickened out and put it down, and I let criticisms of like people that just don't matter really slow that journey down a little bit. glad I waited because it's a much better book because of it. The idea and the message has had a chance to develop. Yeah, so it's a much better book, but I've had some people pre-reading it, and just the feedback that they're getting. They're like, this is an awesome book. It has changed my business. It's made me think differently. I had one guy about to go cancel his podcast. Like, he was ready to shut it down because of some things that happened, and he read the book. He's like, I'm keeping this thing going.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I want to speak more, and I've got other books that I want to keep writing, but I just want to share this message with people. I think the wave of just people and businesses, especially, being more vulnerable and real and honest is coming, and somebody needs to lead that that charge.
That's what I was starting to pick up is you want to be one of the voices of the be real, it's better in business movement.
And that there's power in your story, right?
Yeah.
So I have business readers read this. Well, I didn't paint a baby. I didn't have anything go wrong. It's like, well, yeah, what's your personal story? You've gone through adversity and challenges and things where you've showed up not perfect, and there's power in that story. So it's an encouragement to everybody to explore their story, capture, craft, and communicate those moments that really matter and that can show who you really are.
Yeah. I like it. And do you actually spend any time doing real estate, like showing houses and things like that? Or is it more you can buy and invest and do stuff with your broker's license? Should people call you if they're looking for a first-time home?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So the real estate
tell me about the real estate thing.
So M&E takes off out of the gates. 05, right? Get fired, take the $100, start M&E. It goes crazy, and start investing in real estate. And we got to a point in 2014, 15 where things were operating pretty smoothly without me. Was kicking up some good cash flow, and I had this maybe myth or belief, like, I'm going to retire, right? I'm going to retire at 33 or whatever it was. And I go to Spain every year. I lived there in college, fell in love with it. So family and I, we spent the whole summer in Spain, stepped away from the business. That's when I was going to really start writing a lot more. And I had spent a lot of time with a gentleman who does a lot of home flipping. My son went to school together. He's like, you got to check this out. So I'm always looking for opportunities. So I came back from Spain and I got licensed in real estate, and not knowing that I didn't need a license to flip, get the license, end up joining C3 Real Estate. I know John and Jesse. I knew John more back in the day. Yeah. And then they're like, hey, you got to hang your license somewhere. And then people started calling me, and I love that aspect of helping people. And real estate can direct and change your legacy. So you're helping somebody contribute to their legacy through real estate and just being an advisor for them, and then the business just happens. Yeah. But I've got a team member, Gunnar, who does a lot of the showings, a lot of the back end coordination, and we're looking more. We did our first flip this year, and looking to invest more in some other kinds of deals, and it's fun. Real estate, real estate's great.
It's among the most financially successful people I know. Real estate investing is common to over 75, maybe 85% of them.
It is, yeah.
In the long run.
And I can't find anything else yet that I can bring you $1 and you'll give me $5 worth of something. You can't do that with
right. Well, and it goes up in value while it creates cash flow. Mm-hmm. Nothing does that really, not much.
No, and it's fun. And it's been a cool journey, and it's fun to show the kids. They joke with Emily and I, oh, you going to the flip? How's the flip? They make fun of it. That's what we refer to it as.
And how's the market?
It's changing. It's interesting. It's still, believe it or not,
pretty stable.
It's still a seller's market. In terms of inventory.
There's not enough inventory.
But what happened was, with rates as low as they were, and the desire for everybody to want to live here and be here in Northern Colorado, just that craziness of they couldn't keep up the supply with the
excess demand. Yeah,
and it drove the prices up. But right as rates started increasing, and where it really affected is that new first time home buyer. Yeah, they qualify for a $400,000 house, and then a week later, $370,000. Week later, $340,000, and then that fell,
there aren't
fell
any
out.
Of those.
So there was it was I think December stats. I was looking at it. It was a third to 25% of the sales for year over year from December to December.
Yeah.
It was a lot lower.
Yeah.
But I mean, transactions are still happening. I think this market's great because it weeds out 18, 19, 20 the years, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty low hanging fruit. Like, you could get your license, show up to an open house,
right.
Don't be drunk. No, really, like it wasn't that that hard. Not to knock, like there's work you do as an agent.
For sure.
Go meet somebody.
But yeah,
You're an agent.
yeah.
But when things get tough, you've got to get creative and you've got to be a great business professional on top of being a real estate
Well, and
agent.
one interesting thing, like with all the houses you've painted and neighborhoods you've been in and yards and stuff, like just from being around, you know a lot about the marketplace, right?
How neighborhoods transitioned right from a new owner-occupied
Yeah, and plus
community
over 15,
to
20 years almost.
Yeah, and I've been here since I was 10. So yeah, I've really
Wow.
seen the landscape change and develop. And yeah, there's a lot of other value that being here brings to, buyers and sellers.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Ready to jump in the time machine?
Let's do it.
We'll go to the way back. So you moved here when you were 10, but where did you get born and stuff?
I was born in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Teaneck.
Yeah, northern New Jersey,
Okay.
Bergen County, and then grew up in Montclair, which is also in northern New Jersey.
Is that a pretty urban environment or not super? Because I know there's parts of New Jersey that are like boonies, like the Pine Barrens and stuff like that.
Yeah, you've got. I mean, it's funny. Everybody goes, "Oh, that's the armpit of the East Coast," and there's these stereotypes. But New Jersey has some beautiful.
It's the
just
Garden
out there,
State, baby.
Beautiful
I mean,
scenery out there. But no, where we lived, I mean, it was a beautiful area. We lived in Upper Montclair, so there was kind of our school was kind of this melting pot of different races, socioeconomic. There was kind of Upper and then Montclair,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
a kind of a division of the tracks there, but
Sure.
yeah, it was
But it
there
was still one
till-
school.
till everybody kind of combined there in the elementary school. But no, I just remember, as a kid, not really fitting in much. I was very smart, so I'd finish the schoolwork quickly and just didn't fit in with that sit down, shut up environment.
Yeah.
And I got bullied a lot.
You were
Like, I
pretty
got
driven, obviously.
Yeah, just smart, and they didn't know what to do with me. Like it was always teachers always calling parents. I don't know what to do with them. They're like, give them more work, give them something to do. So that was, I got in trouble a lot.
And what were your folks doing? Do you have other siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
And then my mom stayed home, and my dad worked.
Yeah.
So pretty traditional roles.
And like traditional Joe Paycheck kind of stuff, or what was he doing?
Yeah, no, Dad was he worked with trucking companies and kind of union type companies. So
Okay.
yeah, it would be that employee base of work.
Sure. So you didn't really have an example of entrepreneurism in your
So he
immediate life, or
he loved fish, so he had a fish collection and actually sold fish. So had this. He
like
a fish
like
dealer,
breeding and whatever.
Yeah. He'd fly them in, and then I remember he was putting ads in the paper and things like that. So yeah, it was pretty cool, pretty niche. Like my brother was all into snakes and everything. Like I'm totally scared of snakes and reptiles. Not my thing. But yeah, I mean, I just business. The first exposure to it was I asked my parents for some money. For $200 to buy a boombox when I was 9, almost 10 when we first moved out here. And they're like, nope, you mow the lawn, you get $4 a week. That's a year of work.
Right.
I said, well, can I go mow some other lawns? They're like, oh, that's fine. So went around the neighborhood, knocked on some doors.
At
and
9?
Yeah, 9.5, 10. Yeah, like the mower's bigger than me. I'm pushing this thing down the street. But when I did that, I'm like, man, you can go out, do something, set a goal, make it happen. And that was a big part. Business became a big part of
A plus B, got a boombox.
Exactly. And but it gave me some confidence, because again, like getting bullied and picked on and
Yeah,
beat
were you
up.
just a little guy?
This little guy,
Yeah.
buck teeth, just easy target, right?
I was
So-
Kurt the Squirt, by the
You were?
way,
Okay.
until like at the end of my sophomore year of high school. I was 5'1",
Ooh,
and I
wow,
was
okay.
4'11" in 7th grade. So basically, from 7th grade through 10th grade, I did not grow when everybody else grew, and I got bullied like crazy as well.
Yeah. Well, and there's those, those things, right? So you get the glasses, the buck teeth. You're really short. You're overweight, right? Whatever kind of those general things are.
Yeah.
But like when we teach jiu-jitsu to the kids,
Too
it's
much
like,
smarter.
or super smart, but don't be an easy target.
Right.
And I didn't know. Like I was a pretty easy target, and then didn't have any tools to set boundaries and defend myself, and I was just scared. Like
And even emotionally, like when you react and you can't really manage to like defend yourself in a way, either physically or mentally, emotionally, then they just keep doing it because they see it bugs you.
Well, it's that fight or flight, right? And it's like,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna cower up, and this same girl beat me up all the time. But it's just that this girl's gonna beat on you.
You wanna call
and
her
then
out?
pick on you. Nah, it's cool. Like I forgive her.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's
She was
kids.
struggling with something too, probably.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
Like that, everybody follows an example that they're seeing, and it's part of their environment. But no, it wasn't fun at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, I wish I would have discovered jiu-jitsu 20 years earlier.
Right.
And so that's kind of the the mission as I'm out there on the
And you
mats.
wouldn't be here now writing this book if you had.
No. And I've got a third book in mind. I was actually just...
Do you want to tip your hand?
Not a business book either.
No?
I'm working right now on just getting the ideas out of the brain onto paper for a children's book.
Oh, fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it.
Anti-bullying, how to stand up for yourself, all those things. So very, very much will align, very similar story, and implementing the tools I learned as an adult into this child's life and story.
Well, and probably a lot of the lessons that you observe as a professor at the Jiu-Jitsu Center, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like seeing their own stories of success and overcoming and whatever, that all filters into a good place.
Yeah, no, it really does.
So what brought your family out here to Fort Fun? Or was it to Fort Collins proper? Or?
It was Loveland. Yeah,
okay,
so
Loveland.
we moved to Loveland, then to Fort Collins, back to Loveland, so pretty much Northern Colorado.
Yeah.
So my mom's brother moved out here for college in the 70s, fell in love with it. I remember when we were younger visiting once.
Yeah.
And then, I think it was just getting out of New Jersey. I mean, like I look back, I keep in touch with one friend from elementary school and my second grade teacher.
Yeah.
Those are my two connections.
Yeah.
But we went through the fifth grade yearbook, right? I was just back out in New Jersey a couple months ago, and dead in prison, disappeared, got the whole neighborhood pregnant. No, for real. Like I would be dead.
Not
in
a
prison.
successful breeding ground necessarily.
Be a drug dealer. Yeah.
Yeah, you could be a successful drug
I would
dealer.
have crushed it in
You
drug
could
dealing.
have spinning signs and stuff like
Spinning
that.
signs and teams and everything.
And probably some corrupt officers
Absolutely.
like stealing you evidence so that you can
Gotta pay
resell it
them
on
off.
the streets.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
all that. Yeah. Looking for an angle.
Yeah.
So your folks were still together and stuff. It was just looking for a
Mm-hmm.
change of pace. Dad found a new job, or just even they just moved up and loaded up the truck and moved
I
to
think it was
Beverly.
a combination of like, hey, we need to I think they were seeing where things were heading and the direction. And then I also, from a property standpoint, like property values, but more so taxes started going crazy. So, I mean, if I'm them back then looking at those different scenarios, like Northern Colorado, amazing place to raise a family, so there was that drive,
Especially
that
at that time.
motivation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he ended up finding work out here and it all worked out.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So, yeah.
And so did you, like you're a pretty big guy now, did you have a growth spurt? Did that change things for you? As a teenager, were you already said you were smart. Were you athletic? Were you involved with
So I
things?
was never the popular kid, never the sports kid. Like business was my thing. And I was pretty lanky, kind of tall and goofy looking and lanky until 10th grade. Started lifting weights in 11th grade, and I mean that became my my thing, because you lift some weights for a couple of months and you start you start seeing those changes.
I took a weightlifting class and gained like 25 pounds in a semester in college.
And then people
then I shrunk back down.
Yeah, up and down. But yeah, and then people start. It was interesting. I mean, people would start responding differently to you and treating you differently. So I mean, it was a false sense of confidence and security.
Talk to me about that, like from a differentiated standpoint. Like when you say that statement, I'm like, well, so the 40-year-old men treat you differently. The girls at school talk to you differently. Their moms look at you differently.
No. So in high school, no. I mean, I remember this is one of these like core memories, right? I remember standing in the lunch line in 9th or 10th grade. You think about like those things that you remember, right? And I'm skinny, little goofy looking Matt, big old jack dude right next to me. And I just remember this girl saying, she's like, yep, squeezes his arm, right? Squeezes my arm. She's like, yeah, the girls prefer this, right? Whether that's true or not. But yeah, no, girls start looking at you.
Yeah.
The people that were pushing me around stopped pushing me around as much.
Sure.
Between 10th and 11th grade had kind of a changing of that friend group that I hung out with. So then I ran some track in high school, and then I was actually working just an hourly job at a Subway sandwich shop.
Yeah.
So go to school, go work out, go work, come home. And that was high school. Yeah. A little bit of fun too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Did you go off to school then, college?
I did. I went to Colorado State University.
Okay, just stayed hometown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, graduated high school in '99, went up to CSU. And it was funny, like that's just what everybody was doing. So that's what I did. I had really no direction of what I wanted to do. I got ahead of studies in Spanish. That came very easily to me.
Okay.
And then I ended up elementary tutoring my senior year of high school. So like senior year of high school, you don't have that much, like that many classes you need to take.
The load isn't that heavy, so you...
Yeah. So I was over there, and I got asked by the front desk. They go, "Oh, you speak Spanish? I've got a mom on the phone who."
Where did you learn Spanish?
Just in class.
Really?
But I used it outside the classroom so much. So elementary tutoring, I signed up for elementary tutoring because there was a cute cheerleader that was over there. So that's why I end up at the school. But then the school says, "Hey, can you come just help on this phone call? Oh, can you come do parent-teacher conferences?"
Right.
So I was literally like their translator.
Well, and there's all these Spanish parents that...
A lot of ESL
What
families.
I've heard is that... from teachers actually just recently was that the Spanish families tend to be a lot more involved with the student and the conferences and things like that and the education. Yep. They're more interested, whereas like the average suburban family is like, why did you send my kid to detention? Oh, because he wasn't listening. Because you haven't taught him anything about listening. It's just, but they don't always translate well, right? Because they have a hard time communicating with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I think there was a mix of everything. There were definitely some very, very involved parents. Oh yeah, and like kids acting up a little bit. Mama would put it on them a little bit. Yeah. And then there were some that weren't involved. I'd say it was probably
so sometimes you were really the adult or semi-adult person that would help these kids be guided into the school system.
Yeah, no, and I think they would just people look at me, even adults, anybody. They look at me and they go, I speak Spanish. They hear it and they go, that shouldn't happen. That just doesn't. It doesn't look like it's supposed to work out that way. But no, built a great relationship with the teachers there and the students and the families. But yeah, so that led into in college. I go, I'll minor in Spanish, and I actually wanted to teach elementary school. That was the original one. I was waiting for CSU to bring in this program that they kept talking about. But right before my junior year at CSU, Spanish professor pulls me aside. We're still great friends today. She's like, "Hey, have you ever thought of studying abroad? You should go to Spain." And I'm in this Spanish culture class. So she'd say, "Hey, I just taught you about this, like flamenco and girls," and say, she was appealing
you would
to
like
all this stuff. She goes, "You would love my country."
And let me guess, she's also 27 and beautiful or something. So you're like,
she was old. Yeah, she was older than me. No, she was older. Yeah, older, married. It was never like that.
Well, no,
but she was appealing to the things that would be very easy to appeal to.
Right.
And I signed up. I go, you know what? What am I going to do next semester? I'm going to, do the college painting thing again. And I signed up. Got all the paperwork, visa, passport, and then a couple months later, I'm landing right outside Madrid, Spain, living with a family.
For a semester, for a year?
Yeah, for a semester.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool.
And then the end of that, we traveled all around, a lot more of Spain, Europe, Italy.
You and the family, or you and?
Just me and another guy. His name was Justin. It was another CSU student.
We similar program, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, we just cruised around for 3 weeks after the school was done.
I don't know if we've talked about it, but my wife and I have hosted, now we're on our 9th, I think, exchange student, and we just got rid of an Italian, brought in a Portuguese or a Brazilian gal. Yeah. And I just really love that experience, and partly because, I wanted that experience when I was your age, in our story here, when I was 20, when I was 19.
And you guys as the host family, you make such a difference in that kiddo's life, and you really make that experience. Because I remember my host family, they were amazing, just an amazing family. And I'd go to school and tell everybody about it, and they're like, my host mom sucks. They're following the contract. I get a glass of milk at breakfast, a sandwich at lunch, and it was some of them were doing it for the money.
Yeah.
This family was doing it because they really cared. So I remember sitting around, for lunches and dinners. I'd drink whiskey with host dad. He's like, "All right, here's all the profanity that you need to know.
Right.
Here's what you need to avoid saying." So he was that guy. And then Pepita, the mom, she's like, "Oh, Miguel," she's like, "You need to stop that. You can't teach him these things." He goes, "But he needs to know these things." And they're very helpful, useful.
I think I probably had a lot in common. I gave Manuela got her first motorcycle ride of her life yesterday.
Okay.
We took a little tour around Bingham Hill Road and around the lake, and
they'll remember that. They'll remember that for the rest of their life.
For sure. I think she'll have a motorcycle in 3 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, Manuela's mom and dad.
Yeah,
but here we are. So I'm feeling like we're going to transition to a quick break, tell the rest of that story, get the founding story on M&E, and be back in a little bit.
Let's do it.
Okay. The Loco Experience is sponsored by InMotion, providing next-day delivery for local businesses. If you need anything delivered in Northern Colorado, InMotion's flat fee service is a great resource for your business. Delivering from the Wyoming border to Denver and anywhere in between, Their clients range from small breweries to real estate companies. InMotion can deliver almost anything you can imagine. If this fits a need for your business, contact InMotion directly by emailing them at inmotionnoco@gmail.com. That's INMOTIONNOCO@gmail.com, and mention you heard it on the Loco Experience. And we're back. So, we were basically in college and in Spain when we left off.
Yeah.
And you give a pretty good advertisement for either hosting or going on a foreign engagement. What would you say were the big walkaways for you, other than a better Spanish language and meeting lots of cute Spanish girls?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was it.
No, just those.
No, I'm just kidding.
That was enough.
When you get thrown into a totally different culture, and I actually share this with students, you expect that there's going to be this culture shock because you're going to a totally different environment. But I mean, you're learning another way of life, another way to view things. It put my perspective of the just the history of the United States. Like, you guys have no history, a couple hundred years old. So I mean, you're going to a country with thousands of years of history, but where the lessons there really still stand true today is, you get put into an environment where you're lost, you don't speak the language, you don't understand the cultural nuances and cues. You're really out of your comfort zone. Like I had to wake up every day and decide, hey, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to see this thing through. You just get pushed out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And at that time of your life, it's such an impressionable time where you're pivoting. It's a big turning point. 18 to 20,
I bet in a way
22.
that Spanish culture teacher that encouraged you was an impact maker for your life, because she believed that you would be good enough to do that or whatever, and be able to survive and thrive, right?
Yeah, and she's still a great friend, Maria del Mar. She still teaches at CSU, and I stay in touch with her a lot. And it was getting out of the comfort zone. Obviously, the language skills that you picked up, and just the people. Like, I've got all
relationships,
these friends and relationships that I would never have had. And I mean, like, now I actually bring business owners and leaders over to Spain. We're taking a trip in September to hike the Camino. So I fell in love with the country. It's another piece of my heart is there. It's just a part of my life. That's a whole another thing. It's a 70-mile. The whole Camino is like 500-mile hike. People do it over 30, 40 days. But just the love of another culture, learning the language, meeting new people, and just really appreciating and looking at things through a different perspective. What I tell students, though, is you're going to expect this culture shock, right? It's a shock to the system. And then you either adapt to it and say, hey, I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna lean into this and become Spanish or whatever the culture is, right? And you've probably seen your students do this, or they go, nope, I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna stay
I'm gonna
American,
resist it,
and they either go home or they go home at the end of the experience and they don't have the experience. They didn't assimilate it all, and then they're so happy to be home, right?
Yeah,
and they're like, screw this place. Stuff is whatever, and they just complain about it. When I got back, so when you assimilate to that, they don't tell you about this. It's reverse culture shock. So all of these students that stayed with you, they had this wonderful experience, wonderful family. They're going to go home, and nothing really changed back home for the 3, 4, 6 months they were there. And all of a sudden, in this country that you're from, just looks different. and it's the weirdest thing coming back because you don't expect it. So it's kind of this. You kind of get hit from the side a little bit.
I just got a text this morning, as a matter of fact. Yesterday morning, I'm sorry, from Enrico, the Italian exchange student that we just sent back about 10 days ago, or 15. And he said, it's great to be here, but I miss Colorado so much.
And
I could just hear it in his voice.
You want to go back. Yeah, so I always have that longing to go back. But one of the coolest things, so Maria del Mar, so you just think, your listeners, she just 22 years ago, hey, you should go check out my country. I go have this experience. We now have sent 17 students to Spain through a scholarship that we started at CSU. It's a study abroad to Spain
Basically,
scholarship.
what you did, funding somebody else to do that?
Yeah, it's an endowment. So we just keep pumping money into it, and it kicks off scholarship money. So, just that impact that she had on my life, that experience that I had, now we get to give that to other students, and now those students are coming back and like donating to the scholarship. So it's this cool cycle of contribution. And
you're a long thinker, kind of, aren't you?
It's fun. Yeah, no, it's been really fun. And I love the coffee, right? So we have a little Spanish coffee bar in our lobby of our office. We have all the businesses in
I
one
bought
spot.
one of your little coffee pots and gave it to my wife for a stocking supper.
Yeah. So all that money goes to the scholarship.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So it's a cool little way to, share the culture, share the coffee. And I think you can connect over drinks, coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
And it gives back. So it's been fun. Yeah, I would highly encourage it for anybody to do it.
Yeah. Let's get into the business journey a little bit, the launch of M&E, because was it true? Do I remember you were a college pro painter?
Yeah, I worked with, it was College Works.
College
painting.
Works. So it wasn't like the big brand, the College Pro Painters or whatever, but there was several different college student kind of.
Yeah, there's two or three
time
at
off
that time.
And, yeah.
So they same model though, right?
Yeah,
they come onto the campus and recruit students, and hey, we're gonna let you use our.
You're
money.
sticking around here this summer.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You're gonna deliver pizzas or work waiting tables? I mean, that's kind of their pitch. They go, hey, you can learn about business, and as long as you work hard through the summer and follow some parameters, you're gonna be guaranteed you're gonna make $2,500, but you can make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in a summer. So. Yeah, so I jumped in. I got recruited by them and worked 4 years through college, minus that semester that I was in Spain. And I made over those 4 years over 6 figures. And I just share that because I spent 3 times what I made. So I graduated college.
Right, you didn't actually. Yeah, you're still broke when you graduated college,
made
but
a bunch of money.
You lived well.
Yeah, lived well, had fun. But I didn't think I'd stay in that business. I go, we're gonna graduate.
What did you go to college for? Did we even talk about that? I know you got a Spanish minor.
So the minor, my Maria Del Mar, her pitch was, hey, turn your minor into a major, which I did. So I majored, in Spanish, and then child development and family studies.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't bring that elementary ed program in to CSU until my senior year, and then it was a cohort. You couldn't load them up. You had to basically stay in college for 3.5 more years, and I was done by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have an early childhood education.
And never used it really? Did you go right into business after, or did you?
Yeah, right in.
I was just hanging out with my buddy last night. He's a big Cowboys fan. We watched the playoff game.
Okay.
They crushed the Buccaneers.
Okay.
I think that was Tom Brady's last game.
I don't know. I mean, he said he was retired and then came back.
Yeah,
so.
who knows? Anyway.
I don't know.
But he taught for, I want to say 2 years or maybe a year and a half. Yeah, probably 2 years. And he was getting ready to be sucked into that industry. And he was like, I can't, I just. And he went on a trip to Spain to see the exchange student that had stayed with their family earlier.
Yep.
So he took a little sabbatical in the summer after his second year of teaching, and was like, if I ever want to go to Spain, I can't really be a teacher. I'll never have enough money to go to Spain.
Well, and I taught. So when I graduated college and then launched M&E, I had the opportunity to teach just after school, couple days a week, Spanish to elementary school kiddos. And I just give a lot of props to the teachers. They come in, they've got the heart for it, they love the kids. But I didn't like the politics, and it's not that I didn't like the parents, but some of the just expectations and things just wasn't cool.
Yeah,
it's like I'm not here to babysit. I'm here to teach your kids, and if they need discipline, I'm going to discipline them. And it was interesting, but I don't know how teachers can put up with that. I think that a lot of things got in the way of teaching, and just that passion that the teacher had for the student, for the topic, and bringing that all together. Just too much of that. But I graduate college, and I go, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna get away from this painting thing. Got into the mortgage business.
Okay.
And really didn't care for it. I was at a telemarketing, BC paper, pretty hack shop, kind of a place, and then conservative bank.
A good first job, kind of. Oh, and then a conservative bank.
Yeah, but kind of the worst of best of both worlds, depending on how you look at it.
Right.
But I'm working at this local bank here, and they brought in a new bank president, and he called me into the office one day. This is March 2005.
Okay.
He says, put all your shit in a box and get out. You're fired.
Okay.
And I go, okay, well, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure.
Were you producing? Were you?
I was just getting started. I was just a couple months in with this bank. They wanted me there because I spoke Spanish. They had me going to Greeley and then back to Fort Collins. And then just one of the things I remember, this guy he was an arrogant prick. I mean, he really was.
Do you want to name him?
No, it's okay. No,
I'm just like,
no, man, it's fine. He was, same thing. I forgive him.
Yeah.
He was a prick though. And he said, "Oh, maybe you should go back to that painting thing." So that's what made him a prick. Fine, you fired me. I don't work for your P&L or your bottom line. That's okay.
Right.
But I go, okay, well maybe I will. So I jump in the car, and I've got a 10-12 minute drive home, and I'm like, I got to tell Emily something when I get home. So I called a couple of the painters that I worked with college painting, and I said, hey guys, are you one of them told me, he goes, "You're not going to like this banking thing, and they're not going to like you. You'll be back at this painting thing in a couple of months, and if you ever are, call me." So I called him and I said, "Hey, give me a month, and I'm going to line you up with some work." And that was how M&D started. I came home, told Emily, she's like, "You're home kind of early today."
Is E Emily?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And somewhere along this way, you fell in love. You didn't bring her back from Spain?
No. No.
Where's Emily enter the picture here in this storyline?
Right after I returned from Spain in 2002, I met Emily at the end of that summer. We were out salsa dancing, so I met her at a salsa dancing club. Her friend drug her there that night. That wasn't really Emily's thing. She's like, "Hey, just come hang out with me tonight." And yeah, I bumped into her. It was love at first sight for me, not so much for her. Took her a little bit longer.
You seem persistent.
That's okay. I was, yeah. No, I pursued her.
It was love at first sight.
I pursued her, yeah.
Well, and then, honestly, there isn't much most women like more than to be pursued. Mm-hmm. As long as it's not creepy.
Didn't do anything too creepy. Yeah, nothing too creepy. Maybe some borderline things, but she stuck around. She hung around. But yeah, so in that process of graduating college, that was my senior year. So right before senior year, we're beginning our relationship. I graduate, transition into the banking as she's finishing up school. She was a year behind, but we had the same. So I meet her at the bar, and she says to me, she goes, "Do you want to be my fake boyfriend tonight?" Because these guys were bugging her. I'm like, "I'll be your real boyfriend forever." She goes, "Well, if you ever want a chance at that, just one thing I want you to remember: don't forget my name. It's the only thing. Next time you see me, don't forget my name." Run into her a couple weeks later. And she goes, "I looked at you and I saw in your eyes that you forgot my name." And then she goes, "What's my name?" And I go, and I forgot. But yeah, so we start our relationship, and
that's like part of the painted baby story is you just being authentic. Like, I'm sorry, I forgot.
I don't remember, but you're really cute. You want to hang out? So as I'm getting fired, we had just moved into a condo and had to pay the bills. Had to make $2,800 in 28 days, and she just said, "What are you going to do about it?" And I said, I'm going to get back to painting, like temporarily. I didn't think M&D would turn into this.
Yeah.
Took the last $100 we had. That was the minimum that you needed to open up a business bank account. And then just went out and started pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, and generating business.
And you were kind of that right from the start. Like, have you ever painted anything?
So, no, not college painting. They were really good at training you in the sales and the marketing.
Yeah.
Not so great. In my experience, I didn't really learn how to paint.
Yeah.
I hired a couple
of guys. You invented a little texture thingy and stuff, but that's more of a hack thing, too.
I'm a sales guy, yeah. So, I had some really good painters that worked with me. So, we joke like I'm not good at painting, and some people they'd say, well, so you're not painting it? No, but you don't want me painting it. I'm running the business, so that's been great. That allowed us to grow and scale, I think, quicker.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that the thing you're delivering wasn't tying you down.
Yeah. Well, and that's getting out of the deliver of value seat is a big challenge for small businesses, and you started kind of not really there. Well, not that you delivered value. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You sold it. You did the paperwork. You did the estimate. Mm-hmm. You did the conversation. You did the billing and the collection and the those are all valuable steps, but not what the customer came to buy.
Yeah. So you look at Michael Gerber, E-Myth. Like I was never the cake baker.
Right.
So and that's hard because I speak with
it's a really interesting perspective to shoot it from.
Business owners, they go, "Well, I'm really good at my craft or my trade, and I want to grow the business." And you're just self-employed at that point. You're still exchanging your time for money. Just now you're your own boss, and that's usually worse than the previous boss, right? So
sometimes
that jump over to the business owner side of things, where you have to trust and put faith in and let other people operate those certain parts of the business that you're not good at or don't want to do.
Yeah, well, and most of us shed those things one at a time in some ways, and you were just like, I didn't start with them. So
no. And the guys would joke. I'd come out to a job site, "Hey, give me that caulking gun really quick." They're like, "Don't touch it." And
right.
I'd ruin.
You're holding it backwards, things. Matt.
No.
You got to put the pointy end that way.
Pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
So I want to dip into, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like M&E kind of didn't have a huge amount of evolution. You've got kind of a long-standing crew. You've done and tried different marketing tactics, some of which have been great, some of which probably didn't work as well, all that kind of stuff. Anything you want to say to people on that front, like in the B2C space of this? I consider painting to be something that is almost like gasoline, like people need to buy it on a regular basis. It's not, well, gasoline is a little more urgent, right? There's a little more inflexible demand there, but things need painted once in a while, and somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
How do you decide who does your painting and stuff?
So yeah, from the actual application of the painting, I mean, it's got to be great people that do great work, and they're reliable, and they're honest. And I've learned a lot over the years of painting. Just the industry itself, it's pretty fragmented. So you have a lot of like pot and brush. They're called pot and brush guys. So it's Bob in a truck. He's got a couple of
He's
helpers.
got a ladder, yeah.
He's got a ladder. Then you've got like the multiple generation. Hey, my dad and my granddad were painters.
Right.
That those old craftsmen. But there's not a lot of the tradesmen. Like they all do. Like a lot of guys do great paint shops in town.
Right.
But I saw that there was that lack of just like the business and the structure, the customer service, the attention to detail. So a lot of the trades.
What's the series of steps that we go through every time? Whatever.
Yeah, and it's like you get, I've heard time and time again, well, why aren't you hiring this person that did it last time? Well, he did a good job, but he never answered his phone, never called back, was horrible on the business side. So he was a painter, a craftsman, trying to figure out business and not doing a great job at it. I say, hey, we're business owners, we're entrepreneurs, and we just happen to paint. And, you need to follow the same kind of systems and processes and procedures and your vision and your culture, right? All these things that make a great company, just like, an Amazon or any kind of company, right?
Yeah.
You look at these local companies, Otterbox, Madwire, like they've got a vision, they've got structure, and we almost worry about what we're delivering last. Not that you don't want to think about that, but a lot of businesses forget that. They're just so tied up in the weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one question that just came to mind is, like, because you've got mostly a subcontractor organization, like, what is it that you do and can do to try to, like, build the community or the culture of M&E painting and communicate those standards and expectations and things like that?
So our whole company, I mean, we went through the Strat-Up Life Plan Patterson process. So coming out of that, exist.
You and all your subs and all your
the whole company.
People,
yeah,
all that.
we got together with the whole company. This was back in 2015 or 16.
Yeah.
And you come up with your existence statement, right? If you've gone through this process, and our statement is to enhance the community, inspire leaders, impact lives.
Wow.
And we just happen to paint. So in terms of the culture that we build, like we come out to somebody's house. Yeah, they called us because they need blue paint on the wall or this scraped or caulked, but it's like, hey, this is who we are. I'm very focused. The evolution of the business is I was good at the X's and O's. We grew revenue very quickly, didn't really understand people, leadership, culture, and seeing the value that the people have in the business and your contribution to them. That really matters. So that's the big focus right now. So when you talk about culture, it's everybody after a year with us, we pay for their life plan, unlimited vacation.
Do you want to hear an interesting direct challenge? It feels like that's a Matt mission statement, and because of some of your like jiu-jitsu and your book and your kind of expanded vision for where Matt fits, I might submit that M&E might need a more focus and defined for the next leader of M&E, because probably you're not going to be operationally leading M&E as much. Yeah. And it sounds like a lot more Matt statement. It is. It's very Matt filtered. And you've done it. Yeah, and you've done it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a criticism. It's maybe an encouragement.
So no, and I don't take it as that. I think, a business is just an extension of the leader that leads that business.
For sure.
But then, when it comes to that transition, because we're sitting at a point where I was faced with M&E's at this point right now. Do we want to grow? Do we want to scale this all over the state geographically? Do we want to stay in NOCO and broaden out our service offerings? Do we want to franchise? We looked at all these things, and then I have these other opportunities. So I mean, I love where M&E is, the opportunity it provides for people. But it's an extension of me. All of the businesses are NOCO Jiu Jitsu. It's to improve and protect the lives of others in our community.
Same mission, kind of.
And it is, So it attracts the people that believe in that and align with it. But like when I step out, they have to believe in it. But the company also has to kind of take on a new
deliver quality paint for the right price, or whatever. It's going to have its own thing, but it might have to separate itself a little bit from. We were just talking about that with. We've been rechecking in on mission, vision, values stuff with local think tank just today, and one of them was, like free thought and liberty and stuff like that. And Alicia challenged me. She's like, that sounds a little more like Kurt stuff than it does like local think tank stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And to some extent, since we wrote that a 3 years ago, this podcast and some of the ways that we write about what our mission is and stuff, it kind of communicates that Kurt's that guy already.
Yeah.
And so maybe that doesn't belong in this list, but still here.
Well, I think it depends on what, where does the leader, owner, founder of that company, where do they want it to go
right.
from there? Because I think M&E, I don't think it will ever stop having my influence, values, mission that we have. But yeah, when it becomes led by
when you go on your book tour, you're going to have to find somebody to make sure the paint gets done on time.
Oh yeah, no, and they're doing a great job. Yeah, right about 15, 16, like when we spent that summer in Spain, that's when the business was really set up to a point where I could step out of the daily ops. I just focus on the leadership, the bigger picture.
Good for you.
Development of people and just investing in them. Yeah.
So is there other business things you'd like to accomplish? Like, do you have other businesses that you want to start even?
At the moment, no.
Okay. No. You're pretty content right now.
Yeah.
You're kind of
write more books.
Right.
I've got some other
write more
book
books,
ideas.
inspire more people, encourage more kids, and other young leaders, things like that.
And see where it goes. Jiu-jitsu wasn't even supposed to be a business, just the way certain things worked out. We've got a business, and it worked out. So I'm sure more of that will come along.
The local think tank wasn't even supposed to be a business.
Right.
I was just going to do it. And my friend Mike was like, well, you're never going to get good attendance if you don't charge for it. And you will never, you need at least cash to be able to buy people coffee to see if they want to be a member of local think tank.
Yeah.
So I get you.
And as business owners, it's always, you hit, I think a lot of the people I spend time with, you hit this big accomplishment, this big goal. You don't even take time to appreciate it. And, you're always like, what is that next thing? And I'm just at a season where, there's next books. I've got the next 3 to 4 just up here, but it's just one at a time. It's get paint a baby out there.
Yeah.
That's the next thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, more will come for sure.
Well, I'm going to expect you to sign that for me.
Absolutely.
And we'll make sure we share it out there with the podcast share and stuff
Thank
like
you.
that. Let's go faith, family, politics. We always talk about those 3 things.
Cool.
Do you know where you'd like to start in that?
Start with faith. Yeah.
Okay. Let's hit it.
So I didn't grow up with any kind of faith, belief in God, anything like that. I think just the people that I had experiences with and the environment that I was in would say, those guys, they're hypocrites and they're pushing their beliefs and pushing their things on you. And with the environment I grew up in, like getting bullied, right? You're trying to grab onto these things that you think are going to bring you identity, security, and weightlifting was one. And then the crowd I started running around with in college, it was drugs, partying, drinking, chasing girls every weekend. So I went and studied during the week, and my weekends were pretty consistent with partying. But I remember getting on the CSU campus, and you've got the guys, hey, you want to take a survey, come to a Bible study, and then you had the Bible box guy, right, telling you in the plaza you'd walk by, you're going to go to hell. You had that guy. So it was an interesting time where it was that I've never been exposed to that, so I didn't know what to think
just
of that.
0.0. Your parents didn't come from a faith background at all, or had abandoned it completely. Never heard about Jesus.
Never talked about.
20.
No, I remember there were these crazy kids in high school. We called them the Bible thumping twins, and they were all about Jesus. And then they went off and they ended up joining a pretty sketchy, weird organization. Probably call it a cult. But what I say now, so I found Christ in college in the back of a police car in handcuffs, and I'm happy to share that story. But leading up to that, every experience I had with a Christian or somebody that professed that belief in God, they either draw you towards that and make you go, yeah, I want to learn more about
occasionally,
that, or not. So I just had a lot more nots than I did. So going in college, I was just doing my thing, and I never really was forced to think about that. So there were all the people that I said, you know what, I don't want to be like you guys. That's not what it is. I remember this little guitar playing dorky kid across the hallway in one of the dorms. This is just, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And they'd have their little Bible studies, and I'd be coming home drunk at 1, 2 in the morning, and it wasn't like, hey Matt, how are you doing? Do you need anything? I'm here for you. Oh, are you drinking again? It's just very, very judgmental, you know.
Yeah.
And we'll call that guy, we'll call him Bob.
Yeah.
But just I'm like, don't be a Bob, you know, with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm out partying one night, New Year's Eve. I'm super drunk, and I tried to walk home from Elizabeth in Skyline Drive. Skyline comes out on Prospect.
Yeah.
And I thought it went straight.
I walked home from Elizabeth and Skyline one time.
So Skyline doesn't go straight through to Prospect. So for those of you that are really, really local, and I'm really intoxicated, I go, I'm just going to walk straight. So Skyline
like through
ends,
the Walgreens parking lot or something almost.
Well, I walk straight to a house, and I'm like, well, if I just keep going straight, I'll head out on Prospect, and I know where to go from there. And I try to climb this fence, maybe this high, and I'm not doing a good job. And I see the headlights come up behind me, and door open, door close, and I'm trying to navigate this fence, and a guy grabs me by the collar of the jacket and the back of the pants, spins me around, slams me up against his car, and his wife's in the car with a kid. And I go, what is this guy doing? He's Fort Collins police. He says, put your hands behind your back, and he puts me in handcuffs. The police car pulls up. He hands me off, gets back in the car, drives off, and the cop. This is a defining moment, and this officer doesn't know this. He's driving me around, and he goes, "You see all these calls I've got on the screen right here? It's a bunch of drunk kids like you." So he's doing cop talk,
Yeah.
He's not sharing the Bible or sharing Jesus, and he just goes, "Hey, are you not so drunk that you need to go to the drunk tank, whatever that is?"
Because we got plenty of people in there already.
I don't want to go there, man. He goes, "Do you know what they do in there?" I'm like, just drive me home. He said, "Do you know where you live?" He drives me home, walks me to the door. And then the last thing he said to me was, "Hey, you should really think about the choices you're making and where that's going to take you in life." And that's it. It was just police talk, It wasn't, "Hey, you need Jesus" or anything like that.
Right.
But I remembered those words. I went home, got extremely sick, woke up the next day, and I'm like, man, I could have died in that field. Just 2 weekends ago, I was drugging it like crazy in Vegas with a group of guys. So I just started looking back, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to die one day. What does that look like? And then I went back to all these relationships and these contacts I had with followers of Jesus, and the ones that just loved on me, that just cared for me, that were there for me, that they supported me no matter what. They didn't judge me. Guess who I called? Like, it wasn't Bible.
Right,
it wasn't
right.
Bible Bob across the dorm. It was these people. It was a roommate that I was living with, and a couple of weeks later, gave my life to Christ.
Wow.
And from there, then things changed, right? Because I'm going back with the same friends. They're like, "What are we doing this weekend?" Well, I don't want to get drunk, but what do we do from here?
What others do we do?
And
so
that's been a journey.
Pre-Emily, I guess.
Right before I went to Spain. Yeah, so Spain, in a way, just being away from everything that I knew here, that was a great time to grow in my faith and figure out who I was and start to just peel back those layers of my story, to see what life's all about.
And how's that play or fly with your family? Has your mom and dad accepted that for you and your family, or is it weird still? Or
no, it was never weird. It was
it just was
not. It just wasn't talked about. Yeah. So I mean, they know that's not the path that the rest of the family decides to follow.
Your siblings included.
Yeah. But I mean that's.
And it was just like that. It was like you made a decision, you stuck with it. Was Emily already from a faith background?
And she was, and she grew up in a faith background too. Yeah. So I mean, when I met her, having
she's like, this guy looks like a meathead, but he seems like he's real about his faith, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I was still new, I was still like a baby.
A bit of a meathead. Still.
I'm still a meathead. I'm still a little bit of a meathead.
You totally
just
are.
A tiny bit. It's okay. It's okay.
I still love you.
Yeah.
Anything else that you'd like to say about faith? Like, if there's somebody that's listening to your story and that little nudge, that's so interesting, because I had people working on me for years in different ways.
Yeah.
And including myself, because I lived with a religious studies major in college and and I was pecking at the edges for quite a while.
Yeah.
And you just 2 weeks, you were like, bada bing, bada boom, I'm changing.
And I had explored up to that, and I go, I don't know about this because I just remembered all of these negative experiences and these negative people, and then a guy that was mentoring me, he goes, yeah, but what about this gal? She's really consistent in your life.
Yeah.
She just loves you for who you are and where you're at. And I think for some Christians, they go, I've got to convert this person. I've got to get a check mark that I turn somebody to God. Yeah. Just love people. Love them where they're at, love them when they're down and out, and just remember when they'll be ready for that conversation at some point. and then they're going to look back on everybody they had an engagement
and
with.
it might not be with you.
And maybe let that be you. And maybe that's not you. Like that might not, you might not be that person, but just love on people and don't say it, show it.
So where do you choose to practice your faith? Do you have a church you call home?
Yeah, we go to Timberline here.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're both involved. Emily, she volunteers with Vacation Bible School and VBS, and then my son, he's on the young teens joy team, and then I do security there.
Oh, so, yeah, you look like a nice, formidable. Plus, Jiu Jitsu, so
it's fun. Yeah, I get free coffee and make sure every's behaving.
Everybody gets free coffee.
It's pretty chill. Yeah.
Cool.
They do. Yeah, I'm not that special.
So that was faith, family, or politics. Would you prefer? We've talked about some family already, but let's talk about Emily.
Emily's awesome. Yeah, she's amazing. She's my best friend, better half. We very much complement each other. Yeah. So
she shakes her head at you, and then she still loves you anyway.
Well, it's funny because we do a lot of like DISC personality profiling. We do couples nights at our office where we bring couples out, and I mean she's the stabilizer, the steady, bring everybody together. And then, she's like, I spent all day, all week, all month getting everything good. And then you just come and shake everything up. You've got a new idea. But it's been cool. Like, I feel like she's mellowed me out. She's chilled me out a bunch. Yeah. But then I've also, like, we flipped our first house. I've been trying to get her to flip a house for years. She's like, that's too risky. We went and walked one back in August. She's like, let's do it. So yeah, we complement each other, and we just love.
Well, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
We're as a partnership, a husband and wife. We're here to contend with and sharpen each other and make each other better. Like that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Like we can be lousy and miserable and depressed by ourselves, and I think we shouldn't do that in a relationship.
No, and it's been fun because like as I get to share like my business story, my faith story, and she shares hers. It's been fun because we've gotten to spend some time with some. Just new couples, right? Just getting engaged, just getting married, and really been able to share our story.
Even seekers and searchers sometimes,
and just help people. Yeah. And then two beautiful kiddos. Riley, he's 15. He's a freshman. Okay. And he's going to Res. He just played football over there, first year of football. And Haley is 12. Okay. She's 6th grade at Colorado Early College. She'll switch over to Res next year when she starts 7th grade. Yeah.
We always look for a one-word description of the children. Are you prepared for that? Mm-hmm. Riley.
Start with Haley. She's sassy, but in a good way. She's very fiery. She doesn't take any trash from anybody.
I like it.
Riley's loving. And steady.
That's a pretty cool pair of characteristics.
Yeah.
Do you know the Johnsons, by the way, over at Res? Let's see, Sam and Isaiah, they would be like 16 and 17 now, or 15 and 17?
No, we're just getting to meet some of the families. We know some of the football families.
That's my wife's brother's family. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And they both play both ways in football, actually, the Johnsons, Sam and Isaiah.
Okay, Riley will know for sure. Yeah. He'll know them.
I feel like I saw Riley.
I think I've seen you at you've been at the games.
Yeah, I've been to a couple games.
I've seen you at the games, yeah.
Anyway, so, like, what was it about you that, other than your persistence, that caused Emily to think, this might be the guy for me, if you had to speculate?
Was handsome, charming.
And you are handsome. You got some sweet dimples, by the way.
It was the dimples. Those didn't hurt. God, that's a good question. I think she saw the potential. I mean, we've talked a lot about this because I was new to my faith journey. Yeah. Was never super serious about about dating. I didn't really ever have long-term relationships. Yeah. But she's just like, I knew you loved me. You accepted me for who you are. That was one of the big things that she had gotten out of a previous relationship. And the guy was just shitty to her, like all the way around. And she goes, man, if this guy's serious. She goes, I'm going to be goofy. I'm going to be me. I'm going to let it all out. She cranked it up, tenfold.
Oh, I like
and just fell in love with it. So, that was a big thing. And we both pushed each other to be better. And, and we had a lot of similar goals and wanted to raise a family. Yeah. I told her this is the creepy thing. She would tell you it's creepy. We were just getting going dating, and I'm just sitting there one night just looking at her. I go, we'd have really cute kids one day. And we're a couple weeks. She goes, "You're creepy, dude. That's weird." But we do. We have beautiful kiddos.
My wife told her mom, like after our second date, "I'm going to marry him," and
I knew right
sometimes
away.
you just know, and God bless her for recognizing that. And what was it in particular about her that really drew you to be persistent and to turn your focus?
Yeah, just an amazing amazing heart and love and care for people, and just accepting of me and who I was,
And believing in
where I
you
was
too.
at, and believing in me. And
Yeah.
just when I got fired, there was no doubt.
Right.
She said, "What are you going to do?"
Yep.
"I'm going to go out and start a business." She's like, "Well, it's 1:30." I said, "Yeah, I'll see you at dinner." She's like, "Cool, I'll have dinner ready." She's like, "I believe in you. Just go after it."
Yeah.
So she's always believed in me, and being a business owner, going through just a lot of things, just personal struggles, everything, right? She was just there, just a steady rock, and she's hot as heck, just friggin' hot,
Sup,
sexy.
Emily?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think that handles family pretty good.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the extended family or principles of your family? Do you have any house rules that you'd care to mention or share?
So in our house, we say Shoups always stop to help. Always stop to help.
Oh,
If you can.
That's
and I think
nice.
you're going to ask me a loco experience, and
Yeah.
I'll share that with you. But that really came
I like
came
that.
into play. Yeah, just love people, be there, understand who you are, and that you bring value to the world, and you're not perfect. Like I've imperfectly parented both of my kids.
Sure.
Imperfectly
Yeah.
husband, and you grow and learn. And
I have another question about your family. Why do you say Matt Shoup instead of just Matt Shoup? Because everybody calls you Matt Shoup because that's what it looks like.
it does. So like soup, right?
Yeah.
Or shout.
Yes.
That's just English.
Well,
And
okay.
half my family, I've got a cousin, they say Shoup. It's always been Shoup. So tracing back, you asked me, I think before we went on air, the family genealogy, we started as Shoup, Schaub.
Oh, okay.
And at some point, I didn't find where or when that changed,
Yeah.
the spelling. So that's how it started originally.
Well, that makes sense. So
That's where I descend from.
the accent or the emphasis was kind of on that shao
Mm-hmm.
already, and the
Yeah.
P snuck in there from somewhere.
It did. Yeah, B went to P, and then, but no, I mean, it was really cool in high school. We'd
Yeah.
sing the Shoup, the Salt and Pepper song.
I can't
That was
help
my
it.
walkout
Like
song.
that's what when I think of you, I actually think Shoup
Yeah.
because I didn't know until this fall that you said Shoup.
A lot of people don't, and sometimes like if I'm in a quick interaction, I don't stop to
Clarify.
correct anyone.
Yeah,
That's okay.
yeah.
I've been called lots of other things.
Okay,
There's a lot
well,
worse.
There, thanks for clearing that up for me. So politics. What do we got fresh in the political spectrum? We've got, Elon's at Twitter releasing all the stuff, and we've got, this guy that like lied on his resume to get a congressman job. We've got, what do you want to say about politics? What do you say?
I don't talk much about it. So if somebody's, well, what side of the coin are you on? It just feels like, at least at this point in history, like strongly, you got to pick sides. And as soon as I say I'm this, then you make all these assumptions about me.
Yeah.
I think I can generally say that, people I've talked to that have gotten into politics with really good intentions, they find out pretty quickly that it's a different kind of game. I think a lot of them
is
they have to compromise some values. I think they're all liars. Left,
Well,
right,
and why
up,
do you have
down.
to pick one? Like that's what I feel is
But
like
yeah.
30-40% of America is fiercely independent because fuck those guys.
Well, I don't need.
But then they have to vote for one or the other. Yeah.
Just look at I don't think the government does anything well or efficiently or profitably, so I don't need them telling me how to run a business. Like we had some interesting run-ins during COVID with the health department and the gym, and that's where I drew some lines and said, This isn't happening. This isn't okay. You're overreaching.
We're a private gym, and you guys can screw off.
I trespassed them. Yeah, they were threatening me and just doing all kinds of unreasonable
Did
things.
they push back or lock you down?
I trespassed them, so they're not coming down. I mean, some 25-year-old kid called and threatened me with complete things that were not true, and I challenged him, and he said he'd come down with the police, and I said they're already here training, but I've just trespassed you all, so you're all on notice. Don't come to my property. And you can't. You had nothing to do with setting up this gym.
Yeah.
You're telling me that I'm a public gym. I'm a private indoor recreation facility because that's what I paid the city government on my CO. And you can't call now because people are getting sick with COVID and tell me something differently. And I said, come on down if you want, but you can't pull my liquor license because I don't have one. and you're not going to threaten me. Like, we stand up to bullies here at No Code Jiu Jitsu, and they stopped calling. Yeah, they stopped calling, and we weren't being, we weren't having a COVID party and trying to get everybody sick. But
right.
I go, you guys are all responsible adults, and I trust your decisions.
If you're sick, stay home.
Sick,
and if
stay
you're
home.
not, let's come wrestle.
Just like anything else.
And it's not like a little mask is really going to keep you from transmitting something if you're wrestling around with a guy in a robe.
No, not with jiu-jitsu. I mean, you're
right.
literally
You're like,
sweating on each other. You're sweating on each other. Yeah. When you watch that from the outside, not having seen it, you're like, that's a pretty intimate sport. You guys are close friends.
Like,
It is. Yeah. So no, just politics. It's I don't get too.
You choose not to participate, and you wish it was smaller in general. No, you're not. Because that's what I sensed. There was like, let me just be me in this.
Yeah, let me do my thing. Like, the business teacher in college that's never run a business, that's teaching you about how to run a business, who has had no experience. Like, you guys haven't proven to me that you are resourcewell with the money that we're paying you. Just things like that, let me do my thing, and we'll ask you, we'll ask you. Like, I need to pay taxes for roads and services and things like that. But just not down with them, interfering in things that they don't need to interfere in. And I think they all lie. I mean, I think a good, honest person that works their way up to those higher levels of government, you
almost
compromise
get corrupted by the nature of the beast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new hashtag running around on the internet for the climate change group, and with Davos meeting and stuff like that, and it's hashtag you first.
Okay.
Like, if you want us to all starve for energy, you first.
Yeah.
And Germany is maybe leading the way with that conversation. I don't know. Yeah. And they'll quickly change. I predict that Germany will start reopening nuclear plants soon. And they would be fools not to, because they're losing all their industry. Like, Siemens can't manufacture stuff. You can't manufacture solar panels or wind turbines if your energy is 35 cents a kilowatt.
Yeah. I think, just thinking about what you're saying and kind of circling back around, is it's unfortunate, it's sad, it's a lot of things to see that you get into politics. It's so just divisive. It's us against them. You've got to pick a side of the coin. If you love,
well, you don't have to. If you just let everybody kind of be, then you don't have to.
If you like this, you must hate this.
Yeah.
But that's media. It's a whole other topic, right? That's media and all of that. But it's too divisive, and we need a leader that can bring people together, solve real issues, be honest about stuff. It's paint a baby, right? Like, share where we've screwed up, made mistakes, and come fix stuff and take some accountability.
A leader for that, and a culture that welcomes that person.
Yeah.
So
because this can't continue. I don't see just this.
No, only bad things will happen from
going well at all.
Right? Yeah, I agree. I feel like we can jump into the local experience.
Yeah,
the craziest experience that you'd like to share with our listeners.
Yeah, this was a wild one, and I shared this actually in the book. So I go to Spain every year with one of the kids. I alternate father,
one
daughter,
of your kids,
father, son.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my kids, not just some random kid.
Well, yeah.
Hey. So we go. We spend a couple of weeks, and I was over with Haley a couple of years ago, and visited a friend, and we were driving from Malaga, Spain, over to Alicante, so kind of down south up the east coast. And she had stayed up with her friend late the night before. They're like sneaking chocolate and eating sweets, so she's pretty sick. Like, she throws up in the car.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, hey, just go to sleep in the back of the car. So I'm driving.
And she's like 10 or something.
This is when she's 10. Yeah, and we're driving the A7, beautiful views, and just open road, and then all of a sudden you start to see the taillights, and the cars are backing up. So we slow down and creeping along. Something's going on up here, and we pull up on a pretty gnarly traffic accident. So there's a car busted up in the front. There's glass everywhere, and there's just people circled around this guy who's splayed out on the highway, just bleeding everywhere. He's got a leg broken, totally broken, upside down. And he's screaming. So we stop for help. Like, we stop, so pull over.
It's a family.
Make sure it's safe.
Family motto.
Yeah. And I get out, and I walk up to the guy, and they're just standing there looking at this guy. And I was like, is anybody going to help? And he's screaming in English, Spanish, and Russian. So come to find out, it was a Russian guy with a dog who tried to commit suicide. So he walks in front of cars, let his dog go, just stood there, looked up, and this car just smashes in. So the driver of the car, this young guy and his girlfriend, they're hysterical. This guy's pretty messed up, and nobody's helping him. And I'm like, somebody call the ambulance. And I'm certified in first aid, so I'd start doing my thing. And this guy standing here, he's like, "Soy médico. I'm a doctor." Smoking his cigarette. Like, "Doctor, you gonna help this guy?" Like, I think that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I called the ambulance.
That's what I did.
He's smoking. So this guy continues to get, agitated. So tending to him, right? And then the police show up and the paramedics show up, and all of a sudden he starts freaking out, looking everywhere, and he's screaming, something in Russian.
He thinks he's gonna get arrested or something.
No, his dog. So he's walking along with this dog, and when the car hit him, his dog takes off somewhere. So, and then he starts physically fighting, right? So it's like, I've got this guy's bleeding everywhere. He's severely injured. He's now trying to fight, and I was this intermediary translator. And,
not my business, but here I am.
But here I am,
with
right?
This guy's blood. Yeah.
And we're like, we got to find this guy's dog. So I said, hold on. I go to the car. Haley loves dogs. We see the dog nestled under these bushes, and it's just baking. It's hot. It's 100 degrees, southern Spanish, middle of the summer. And this dog's freaking out. So I go grab Haley out of the car, and I'm like, don't look at what's going on over here. Just go hang out with the dog. So she goes, hangs out with the dog, show the guy. He immediately calms down. They get him in the ambulance, and, they finally put the pieces together of what happens. But, I mean, it was just this crazy, chaotic situation where people that were supposed to stand up and do something didn't.
Yeah.
And, this 10-year-old girl just brings, her love of dogs.
Changed the whole situation.
Bravery into this situation. And the guy, I don't know what happened to the guy, but I just remember, we took a photo of the dog. Hey, your dog's okay. And he's good. He calmed down, got in the ambulance. And, yeah, it was a cool experience. I mean, I think
cool.
He's okay, but it was a wild situation. Yeah.
Right. Also, I'm sure that she didn't maybe know the full extent of it at that time, but has heard more about it since and stuff, and just to see your impact.
Yeah, I think the lesson is the little things that you might not think are important now that you carry, or that you can use. Those skill sets really, really changed a situation. And in an environment, a doctor's supposed to be helping.
Yeah.
And little 10-year-old girl comes in and just totally calms down this situation. So it's leaders need to step up, and go first.
I dig it.
Yeah.
If people want to read your book, get the details in that story, or otherwise, or where do they find you? Where do they buy pirate patches?
Yeah, so pirate patches are on Amazon.
Google it.
MattShoup.com is my main hub. And then the book, Painted Baby, launches January 31st.
Okay. So you can't even get it yet.
Be on Amazon. No, it's up for pre-order, but I'm not really pushing the pre-order. No, we're going to have a hardcover paperback e-version, and then I'm going next week to finish up the Audible, and Audible will launch in a couple of months. That's going to be a secondary launch.
Your voice, I presume.
I'm reading it myself.
That's the only way to do it.
They told me not to. They said, "You're not a professional voice actor." I go, "Yeah, but this is my story. I put so much into this, and I love reading an author's book, and I know it's them because I've gotten a chance to meet a lot of authors, and I love that and you get to put your personality into it.
As somebody who has listened to a lot of podcasters and listened to a lot of Audible books, podcasters don't respect authors that don't audibilize their own damn book.
Yeah,
they don't want to see that.
The publisher recommended against it, and I said, "I'm sorry, I'm doing it, and you can scold me later or whatever." But I trust. I'm excited about the process, and the whole book. I opened it up with a kind of off script. Hey, it's not going to be perfect.
Well, I wish you very well. Once that's out and about, we'll make sure we put a link in the podcast episode to have that. And thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing time. I understand you're going to head off to Colorado Springs this evening to beat a big winter storm. Beat
the storm. Yeah, I've got a speaking gig down there on Thursday, so I'm going to get down a little early, get settled.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for making time today.
Thank you.
Godspeed, Matt.
Thank you for listening to this episode. This is Alma Ferrer, producer of the Loco Experience podcast. If you enjoyed this program and would like to support the show, please share it with your favorite people and leave us a review. To see upcoming guests, behind-the-scenes footage, and more, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at The Loco Experience. Subscribe to never miss the latest interview, and until next time, stay loco.